with his father King Charles for there to be an Act of Parliament introduced at Westminster to jettison not just Prince Andrew, Beatrice and Eugenie, but also Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Archie and Lily once and for all. The growing scandal engulfing the British royal family has overshadowed for King Charles what was meant to be a historic visit.
Because for me, the most important thing in my life is family, and everything is about the future.
Breaking. Today, Prince William had the palace gates gleaming under the relentless flash of cameras, their gold crests catching the light like 1,000 unanswered questions staring back at the world. The globe had seen royal tension before, but never on this scale. What had once been whispered behind thick brocade curtains was now plastered across every headline from London to Los Angeles. The heir had drawn the line. The Duke and Duchess were being accused of exploiting their children's titles.
Prince Harry is bracing himself as Prince William is set to go nuclear on him.
And Prince Harry now faced a storm more dangerous than any gossip columns could conjure. Prince William was reportedly bracing himself as he prepared to go full-force nuclear on his younger brother. It was a story nobody imagined spiralling this far, a royal rift turning into a global reckoning. The moment the headline hit, the kingdom's fragile illusion of unity shattered once again. Inside the palace, Prince William, stoic, composed, and carrying a weariness beyond his years, was said to be incandescent with fury. For months, he had stayed silent, weathering documentaries, interviews, and those carefully pointed truths spilling from across the Atlantic. But this time,
they didn't want him to have any of the pomp because they wanted him to live a life as normal as possible. So that the timeline is important because Archie's born.
It wasn't about hurt feelings or royal duty. It was about the children. In William's world, that line wasn't just sacred. It was untouchable. The spark. A glossy magazine spread. A soft focus feature showed Harry and Meghan with their 2 young children in a California garden that had been styled with deliberate regality. The tone of the piece was unmistakable. Modern royals straddling the worlds of Hollywood glamour and the crown. But it wasn't the photos that lit the fire. It was what came after. Days later, the Duchess launched her new lifestyle brand, unveiling an elegant monogram with intertwined initials beneath a tiny coronet. To most, it looked like clever branding brilliance. But to the palace, it was provocation. That coronet symbolized a heritage that wasn't hers to commercialize. Within hours, royal watchers were buzzing. Twitter exploded. Commentators dissected every pixel like forensic experts. Did she really just use the children's titles in a commercial logo? One royal reporter gasped on live TV. The question hit like a thunderclap, and by morning, it was a scandal spanning the Atlantic. Harry's camp waved it off as coincidence, a family-inspired design, not an official emblem, but in the centuries-old world of royal protocol, coincidence didn't exist. Every gesture, every design, every word carried meaning, and William knew it. Behind closed doors, sources whispered he was furious. "It's not just the misuse," one aide confided. "It's principle. Titles aren't branding tools. They're responsibilities, not accessories." The tension between the brothers had always been personal, one bound by duty, the other by rebellion. But now it had spilled into the public sphere, untamed and irreversible. Advisors for the heir scrambled in the early hours, reviewing centuries of precedent to warn Prince Harry. No royal had ever dared to commercialize their children's titles. Even the suggestion threatened to unravel the monarchy's foundation, the delicate balance of privilege and service, heritage and humility. By midday, murmurs had reached Westminster. Senior MPs were briefed. The palace was deeply concerned about commodifying royal identity. What began as a family feud had mutated into a constitutional question. Meanwhile, the Duke and Duchess carried on with their California schedule, reportedly unbothered, or at least performing serene smiles for the paparazzi.
Nations are needed over Prince Andrew's behaviour, and not just in terms of the allegations against him sexually.
But insiders whispered that behind those smiles was panic. The Duchess had miscalculated. The backlash wasn't limited to Britain. American media, once sympathetic, now questioned the couple's motives. Is royalty becoming a brand? One morning show host asked on air. And if so, what does that say about authenticity? Even Hollywood PR execs murmured uneasily. A reputation once built on independence now seemed entangled with the very titles they claimed to escape. Then came Prince William's decisive move. Days after the controversy reached fever pitch, he appeared at a charity event. No statement, no interviews, just presence. But when he stepped to the podium, his words cut like steel. Carefully chosen, deliberate, piercing through the noise. In this family, titles are not ornaments, they are honours. Earned through service, never for sale, never for spectacle. He didn't name his brother, he didn't need to. The audience erupted in applause and the quote instantly went viral. By evening, British tabloids screamed, "A royal rebuke heard around the world." The line in the sand had been drawn across the ocean. Harry reportedly read the quote in silence. Meghan, however, was less restrained, according to sources close to her team.
Dukedoms and HRHs formally revoked, according to the Daily Beast, by Prince William.
She felt blindsided, betrayed, an attack dressed as virtue. "He knows how the press will twist this," she allegedly said. "He's feeding them." This was only the beginning of another storm, not between nations, not even between institutions, but between two visions of royalty. To William, monarchy meant restraint. Power wielded quietly, dignity guarded fiercely. To Harry and Meghan, it was reinvention, freedom from tradition and telling their own story. Somewhere between those ideals, the children, the very reason this war had erupted, had been caught in the crossfire. In the days that followed, the palace's legal advisors convened privately. Some quietly suggested revising the children's formal titles, limiting their public use strictly to heritage recognition, honouring legacy while safeguarding innocence, leaving the core principle intact. Others urged restraint, warning that a heavy-handed move would look vindictive. "We cannot appear petty or punitive," one senior aide cautioned. "The monarchy must rise above the noise, above the tabloids, above the social media storm." Still, the conversation had begun. The unthinkable was now on the table, stripping the children of their royal titles altogether. When whispers of this reached California, the response was volcanic. "They can't take away what's theirs by birth," the Duchess reportedly fumed. "Those titles belong to them as much as any child's does anywhere." But palace watchers saw it differently. Birthright in the royal world means nothing without the institution that grants it. One veteran royal historian put it bluntly, "Reject the crown, and you reject what it gives." Suddenly, what seemed like a family squabble spiraled into a philosophical debate. Could someone truly live as both a royal and a celebrity?
William is said to be doubling down on the feud with his brother Prince Harry, and he's more determined than ever to cut him off, following Hazard's reunion.
Could privilege be monetized without cheapening it? Could heritage survive in a world obsessed with branding? While the internet argued, stormed, and traded hot takes, the heir remained silent. But insiders warned his patience was thinning. One close confidant told the press, "He's tired of playing defense. Every time they turn the monarchy into a story, it damages something sacred. This was never meant to be entertainment." The divide was complete, not just between brothers, but between two worlds. One anchored in centuries of quiet, measured power, the other driven by cameras.
Yeah, I think stuff to do with family overwhelms me quite a bit. Worry or stress around family side of things.
Content and control. As whispers circulated among royal experts, it became clear that even the king was quietly backing his elder son. This wasn't just a feud. It was an inflection point in royal history. For the first time in generations, the question wasn't who would inherit the crown. It was whether the crown itself could survive being turned into a brand. Behind the golden gates of Buckingham and the sun-soaked palms of Montecito, both brothers were preparing their next moves, fully aware that this time there would be no truce. The world awoke to chaos. Overnight, news outlets from London to Los Angeles exploded with coverage. Headlines screamed about William's rebuke of Harry and Meghan's branding scandal, and most damningly, the future of the children caught in the crossfire. Social media churned like a stormy ocean, commentators, celebrities, and ordinary citizens picking sides. Hashtags trended faster than anyone could track. Royal divide, titles, controversy, monarchy. Every gif, every clip of William's speech, every photo of the children in the garden was dissected, analysed and debated even inside the palace walls. William remained stoic, but his aides were working around the clock. Strategists called it the perfect storm of public scrutiny, but also an opportunity. Every leak, every rumour, every trending topic was carefully monitored. "We cannot respond too aggressively," one senior aide warned. "Timing is everything across the Atlantic." Meanwhile, Harry and Meghan were frantically plotting their counter. The Duchess, long praised for composure, was now described as tense, laser-focused, and relentless. She knew the media narrative could either crush her or catapult her further into control. Her team moved swiftly. The first step was subtle, a curated Montecito photoshoot portraying candid domestic moments, laughter at the dinner table, reading with the children, walks through sunlit gardens. Every detail, from clothing to lighting, even which toys appeared, was meticulously calculated. The message was unmistakable. We are a family, and this is our truth. Yet beneath the surface, the move carried risk. To the palace, it could appear staged, a deliberate assertion of control over the narrative. Then came the strategic leaks. A respected lifestyle magazine received an anonymous tip, a feature about Harry and Meghan's groundbreaking charity work, highlighting their commitment to using influence responsibly. The piece painted them as compassionate visionaries, not opportunistic celebrities. Within hours, it was shared across Instagram and Twitter, accompanied by trending hashtags engineered to subtly shift public sentiment. Family first, #NextGenRoyal, #redefining royalty. Meanwhile, private alliances began forming behind closed doors. Hollywood insiders who had stayed neutral quietly pledged support, seeing an opportunity to back a global brand with royal visibility. Tech executives offered platforms to amplify the family's charitable work. Publicists in London debated whether softening the palace's stance might ease tension or if doubling down on William's moral position was necessary. Every move had consequences, every ripple felt across continents. As this media war escalated, Meghan quietly began her boldest maneuver yet, a digital storytelling project codenamed Horizon, promising unprecedented access to the family's philanthropic initiatives and personal philosophy. The goal was to humanize the children without compromising their privacy, while reinforcing that the family's intentions were altruistic, not commercial. The plan carried risks. Any misstep could be amplified instantly, critics claiming the controlled narrative was just another attempt to overshadow the heir. Yet her team insisted bold action was the only way to reclaim the story from relentless headlines and social media conjecture. While Meghan prepared Horizon, the heir's camp was far from idle. Palace insiders orchestrated strategic interviews, subtle photo placements, and op-eds in conservative newspapers. Every message emphasized the sanctity of royal tradition, the weight of responsibility, and the idea that titles were privileges, not branding opportunities. The chessboard was set. Public opinion began to fracture along generational and cultural lines. Older audiences leaned toward tradition, valuing restraint, ceremony, and the weight of history. Younger ones, however, were captivated by the modern, Hollywood-tinged storytelling spilling across the ocean. Even as the media frenzy intensified, a small but influential figure from Meghan's past, a former confidant known only as C, began dropping cryptic commentary online. Tweets and blog posts questioned whether the heir's narrative truly reflected the family dynamic, hinting at hidden pressures and unseen motivations. C stopped short of a full exposé, but each post amplified intrigue, fueling the sense that both sides were hiding secrets. Journalists jumped on the breadcrumbs, chasing leads, creating a second wave of speculation that made the initial feud seem almost tame by comparison. Meghan's next move was daring and calculated. She orchestrated a live stream event in partnership with a global humanitarian organization. Produced with cinematic flair, the broadcast highlighted the family's work with children and communities worldwide. Viewers witnessed carefully curated moments of the family engaging directly with beneficiaries, addressing systemic issues, and showcasing practical contributions. The event was polished yet intimate, and most importantly, it bypassed traditional media filters entirely. Social media erupted. Hashtags like Royal Action, Global Impact, and Family Forward dominated trending lists. Public sentiment began to shift, subtly, steadily, and with unmistakable momentum. Analysts noted that while William's rebuke had initially rallied traditionalists, Meghan's proactive storytelling engaged audiences on emotional and aspirational levels. It was no longer just a family feud. It had become a battle for perception, influence, and ultimately, legacy. Stakes escalated as reports surfaced that international charities and high-profile donors were being courted by both sides, each presenting a subtly different vision of what royal responsibility should mean in a modern age. One insider commented, "This isn't about who's right or wrong anymore. It's about who controls the narrative, legacy, influence, and the future of the family's impact on the global stage." Within the palace, tension reached a boiling point. Prince William reportedly demanded an emergency meeting with senior advisors. Discussions included formal letters to media outlets, subtle legal maneuvers, and public statements carefully crafted to protect both the children and the institution itself. Meanwhile, the Duchess and her team continued refining Horizon, adding personal stories, behind-the-scenes footage, and interactive content designed to humanize their message while maintaining full control over the narrative. By the time the world tuned into the first public preview, it was clear the feud had escalated into something unprecedented, a transatlantic narrative battle with audiences, media, and public figures all forced to pick sides, either openly or subconsciously. Meghan's high-stakes gamble had shifted the conversation. She was no longer reactive. She was shaping the discourse. The question now wasn't whether she could defend her family, it was whether the heir could respond effectively without appearing rigid or outdated in a rapidly evolving media landscape. The digital world buzzed with commentary. Analysts dissected every frame of the live stream. Influencers and talk show hosts debated strategy, motivations, and long-term consequences. Social media engagement hit record highs. In real time, Meghan had transformed a potential PR disaster into a masterclass in control and foresight. Yet C wasn't finished. The former confidant hinted that more revelations could surface if the narrative was pushed too far. Cryptic messages warned that selective storytelling always came with consequences. Each leak, each post, each subtle threat from C kept both sides vigilant. In this high-stakes game, influence was currency, secrecy was power, and the next move could alter public perception irreversibly by month's end. What had begun as a dispute over titles and representation had transformed into a globe-spanning chess match of media, influence, and perception. Meghan's risk-taking strategy was paying dividends, but it also intensified scrutiny. William's camp braced for the next round, preparing countermoves, alliances, and statements designed to reclaim moral authority while avoiding overt escalation. And in quiet moments, insiders noted that both sides knew the truth. This was more than a feud over heritage. It was a battle for narrative control, influence, and legacy. The world was watching every calculated smile, every staged photo, every subtle gesture. The stage was set, the players were in position, and the game had only just begun. If you want more insider royal drama like this, smash that like button, subscribe, share with your friends, and drop a comment with your take. Who do you think will control the narrative next?